Studying is boring. Exams are tough. You want to get a good score, but you also don't want to sacrifice other areas of your life just for the sake of studying. I get it. So that's why in this video, I'm going to be sharing 7 genuinely useful habits that I've learned along the way that made my life suck a lot less. These habits are what allowed me to get consistently good scores, so I get to worry less about studying and I can do the things that I actually enjoy. I'm also going to be sharing a bonus tip somewhere in the video, so make sure to stick around. And without further ado, let's get straight into the first tip. This habit is what allowed me to almost never repeat the same mistake ever again. So back then, this is how I would approach studying for an exam. I would go online and find a past paper, and after finishing the entire past paper, I would spend a few minutes checking my answers and reflecting a bit before moving on to the next past paper. But what I wish I had done much sooner is to list down my weakest topics and prioritize them. So try to think of it this way. Imagine you're on a broken ship and you're trying to fix it. Every time you do a past paper that has a lot of chapters mixed together, that's when you're scanning the entire ship for potential errors. Now, the logical thing to do once you've scanned your entire ship and found the error is to zoom in and fix the error itself. But if you simply keep on doing more and more past papers, that means you're scanning your ship over and over again and nothing is really happening. So every time you're studying for an exam, make sure you scan your entire ship for errors and actually zoom in to fix it one by one by doing topic questions. This is way better than just mindlessly doing past papers because you are prioritizing and you're tackling your weaknesses. You can get an absurd amount of work done just by listening in your class. I have watched hundreds of YouTubers explaining how to get a good score, and there is always one tip that is consistent for every channel, and that is to truly listen in class and get a deeper understanding. And in my opinion, this is 100% true. The way I see it, there are two main objectives that you can have when you're entering a classroom. You can either go into class with the objective of taking notes, which is what most people do, or you can go into class with the objective of trying to understand what the teacher is saying. So the habit that I wish I knew before was to stop worrying so much about taking notes. Because when you worry too much about note taking and you worry about summarizing everything that the teacher is saying, you miss the important thing that they are trying to convey to you. So imagine you're in a car driving at night. When you go into class with the mission of taking notes, that's as if the headlights of your car are very short. So you're only able to see a very short distance ahead and you will have a very surface level understanding. But when you go into class with the objective of trying to understand what you're hearing, that's when the headlights of your car are massively further. So you're able to see a long distance ahead, you understand why you're hearing what you're currently hearing, and you're able to predict what the teacher is going to say next. If you are able to achieve this, then life would be awesome for you. You won't have to worry about pop quizzes or topic tests anymore because you would already remember and understand everything that you heard in the class. I kind of disagree with how most people do practice questions. Most people would spend a lot of time and effort doing the questions themselves, and they would spend a relatively short amount of time checking and reflecting on their answers. But personally, I believe in quality over quantity. And how do you get quality while doing practice questions? Well, that comes down to the part where you check your answers, because that's when you're reflecting and you're giving feedback to yourself. So the habit that I've learned along the way is to spend more time and effort on the part where you're checking your answers. So this is exactly what I'd do if I had to do a practice question from the start. First of all, I would try to speed through doing the entire paper as fast as possible using these tips. And the reason I'm doing this quickly is so that I can have enough energy for the part that is important, which is the checking part. So once I've finished the entire paper, hopefully with still enough energy, then I would go over to every wrong answer that I have and use the following prompts. These prompts help me reflect on my answer and sort of rewind back in time to think about how I came up to that conclusion, how I came up with that answer. And when you're able to do this and identify the flaw in your previous logic, then you will be able to push out the old beliefs that you have and replace them with the new information very easily. This is the habit that I use to motivate myself to study and to do other good things when I'm getting tired. So I want you to think of someone that you admire, someone you want to impress. It can be an idol, a celebrity, someone you strongly want to impress, or even someone you like. And I want you to imagine that they're watching what you're doing right now. What kind of person do you want to appear in front of them? What kind of person do you want to show them that you are? Do you want them to see you sleeping in bed, scrolling through YouTube all day? Or do you want them to see the good side of you and you're just being the best version of yourself? I know that a lot of other YouTubers say that you should do it for yourself and you shouldn't do it for other people. But honestly, if you do it for yourself, sometimes you just lose track of your goals and you think to yourself, I will do it tomorrow. So if you ask me, trying to imagine someone you admire or someone you like watching you, that is what motivates you to be the best version of yourself the most. I want you to think of something that you've studied years before. It probably seems super easy to you now, but back then, I'm pretty sure that it seems a lot tougher. Try to think of the first time that you learned addition. Maybe you don't remember it, but I'm guessing that it was very, very tough and confusing for you. But right now, addition is very easy. And I think that this applies with almost everything that you learn. No matter where you are, the thing that you're currently learning is going to seem very, very tough. But a year later or a few years later, you're going to look back and you will think to yourself, damn, that was so easy. So this is the habit that I've learned along the way. Whenever I'm facing a tough topic or a very challenging question, I try to think to myself how easy this will be in a few years from now. I try to think to myself that I'm just missing a very, very tiny detail. And once I understand that detail, then everything will become easy for me. And this is what motivates me to get through insanely tough questions. It is the mindset that the pain and struggle that you're feeling right now, it will become very easy in a few years. So it is definitely possible for you to understand and master that topic that you're struggling with right now. And it is much closer than you think. The forgetting curve says that when we learn new things, we will forget it very quickly. And a habit that I've learned that has helped me overcome this effect is to constantly immerse myself in knowledge. There are two ways that I like to immerse myself. The first one is more passive, and it is to simply switch the type of content that I'm watching. The type of content that you consume has a massive effect on your grades. So if you want to become more effortlessly smart, then a good thing to do is to watch entertainment videos that are also a bit educational. It doesn't have to be long documentaries. There are so many videos out there that are quite fun to watch, and you can learn a lot from them too. It doesn't even have to be something that you're studying in school. First of all, just by watching these type of videos, you will increase your attention span. This helps you to listen to your teacher in class more without feeling distracted. Second of all, it makes you become more curious, which is also insanely helpful. So instead of watching brain rot content that adds nothing to my life, I would highly recommend watching entertainment YouTube videos mixed with just the right amount of education. The second thing that you can do to immerse yourself is something that I like to call mental imaging. So all you have to do is to think of a vocab that you have learned in class. Try to think of that word that your teacher said, but you can't quite remember exactly what the word is. So when you try to think of a word, but you can't quite remember it, this makes your brain feel very annoyed. And this annoying feeling in the back of your head will push your brain even more to try to retrieve the information that you have once heard in your class. So your brain will have to work very hard to recall what you have learned. And that is what active recall is. And pretty soon, once you finally remember that word, you will unconsciously start thinking about what it actually means, what process it is involved in, and you will find yourself mentally walking through the lessons that you've learned. And all of this started by just trying to remember a random vocab. So it's a little exercise that you can do at any time. You don't need any materials to get started. You can do it anywhere you want, and it will help you remember much more of what you learned in your class. This habit applies especially with maths and physics. So when you're doing practice questions and you come across a very tough question, try to do whatever you can to truly understand the question and not give up. So every time you see a tough question, it should feel as if you've hit a gold mine. Because if you're able to do this challenging question, if you've somehow learned how to do it, then all other questions will become easy for you. So do whatever you can to understand it and not give up. Just put in your full effort to understand every bit of the solution, because you can learn so much from these types of questions. So the habit that I've learned is that doing one challenging question is always better than doing 100 easy questions. It is an excellent way to learn the fundamentals that you have missed. So this way, every question will become easy for you. Whenever you're trying to learn something new, maybe a new chapter or a new topic, the quickest and easiest way to learn is to go to practice questions and mimic how others have solved the problem. So instead of trying to figure out the whole thing by yourself when you absolutely have no idea, what I like to do is to just go on YouTube and see how others have approached the question. I would watch a few of these videos and try to understand the steps that they were taking so that I can replicate it myself. Even if you got an answer correct, it doesn't hurt to see how others have solved it. Maybe they have a better way of solving the question. Maybe they have a little technique that they use that helps them speed up their time. So if you're trying to learn something new or you're trying to improve your performance in a chapter, then mimicking how others have approached the problem will help you massively. Those were the 7 habits that I have to share. Hopefully they can help you the same way that they have helped me, and that's all I have to share.